Sunrise today, we're coming to you live from Oka. The elections are just a few days away. We've got Chief Victor Umeh here with us. And speaking about the elections and some of what they've been talking about in the campaign, you say projects. Now, there are those who say, for instance, when you talk about roads, they say there's a stretch of road from Oga Junction and Oboko down through Odekwe, Atani till Ogwanyocha. They say that area can give, they say that about 100,000 votes. And they're arguing that those roads have not been done, in spite of the fact that you say a lot of roads project has been commissioned.
Well, Chamberlain, when the governor came in March 2014, he came with a promise of continuing with the projects he inherited from his predecessor, complete them, commission, and commence new ones. And when he came in, about 2 months to the end of the former governor's term of office, what he did was that he awarded a total of 101 roads for this governor to take up and continue, totally 185 billion. He paid a mobilization of about 50-something billion and left 127 billion naira contracts to be executed for him. And the governor didn't want to disengage any contractor. All the contractors these jobs were given to by the former governor were the contractors working on these projects. And the governor was able to complete 51 of those roads awarded by his predecessor.
Was this included?
This one is still being worked upon. Like the other 50 are still being worked upon. These are works in progress, you know. But of the loads he inherited, he was able to finish and complete 51 published. The list is published. But when they come and tell you he abandoned all the projects, they just say it by the mouth. And these things have been published. You go, you see those roads, you know, that he has actually completed them. Not only that, as a governor, he initiated some of the new projects, you know, and completed some of them too. That to his credit, while working on the roads with his predecessor, he was able to do 3 flyovers afresh in Oka here, you know, and the long road from Amansi to Ufuma from Oka here, with a span of with so many bridges, you know. The governor has completed 2 long bridges there, built several culverts, you know. And what is left now is to do filling, and then you do asphalting. And because he came with a vision of 4 pillars of development, oil and gas, the so-called Anambra State oil reserve, which, you know, people have been talking about, no government had made any effort to assess that oil field. The governor built the longest bridge in Anambra State today to that oil field. He started it and completed it, 280 meters long. He did it. And he has built many other bridges in the other communities, like in Anambra West, Iyora Bridge, and so on and so forth. So this is a governor that, while in the midst of recession, was doing the jobs left for him by his predecessor. He started new good projects and finished them, and held the workforce of the state and made it healthy. Continued to pay salaries on the 25th of every month without fail. But workers and pensioners. Yeah. You know, because very soon you will say you must pay workers.
Yeah, because that's the requirement of the law.
No, Kogi State is owing 11 months, and somebody committed suicide there.
I thought you were supposed to be looking at good examples.
Imo State is owing. No, when you see something that is an achievement and you overlook it, you know, it will be unfair. When there is no money, when there is no money, and the governor is using his managerial skills and to manage the resources of the state, to keep everything afloat, running, that's when you begin to know the ingenuity of the person and why it is important that somebody who is seeking to remove him must be somebody who has that capacity, financial prudence, and the ability to manage and deploy resources If you don't have it, this state would have gone under during recession.
But isn't
and
that,
he didn't take any bailout fund though.
But isn't that,
is one of the governors
isn't that because
the only government that didn't take any bailout
isn't that
fund
because
from federal government.
Isn't that because he took over from somebody who was a financial manager as well, who managed the resources of the state prudently in such a way that there was a healthy reserve for the governor to draw upon when he came into office?
The healthy reserve is no longer an issue because there is nothing like that in real terms. When you want to talk about what somebody leaves for another person, you have to put it in the context of assets and liabilities. If the governor that handed over to him left some money and left huge liabilities for the governor, you minus and see that he has not left anything.
But did he
Let me
leave
go
money?
to specifics. Specifics.
Did he leave money?
No, he left money, yes, and left so much undone.
Was it a huge amount of money?
It cannot be huge. That's what I'm trying to illustrate for you. Initially, he said he left
Let me
75
ask
billion.
you, yes.
Allow me to explain this. It's very important. Initially, he said he left 75 billion naira for the governor. Recently, during the flag off of the PDP campaign, he said he left 48 billion by himself. That's already a contradiction. And he said out of this 48 billion, that he left 23 billion naira for the payment of 6,000 workers he engaged 2 weeks to his handover. 6,000 workers that they will be paid for 2 years with that 23 billion naira set aside. That leaves you with 25 billion. Governor Obiano did not disengage any worker who will be employed. He has paid them these salaries for 3 years and 7 months. So that set aside of 23 billion naira, that provision he made, has been properly utilized by Obiano for paying those workers for 2 years, and has gone further to pay them another 1 year and 7 months. Instead of disengaging them, he increased salaries of workers across board by 15%. So that is the 48 billion naira he left. So his 23 billion naira has been judiciously used, remaining 25 billion.
He's 23 billion. Isn't it the state's 23 billion?
No, he's claiming now, he doesn't realize that this money belongs to the state. That's why he comes out to say every time, I left this, I left this. If you are leaving office, will you leave with everything the state owns? You must leave the ones you couldn't utilize.
No, the reason I'm saying this is because, no, just a moment, I will land on this. The reason why I have to bring this forward, when you point at other states, I mean, you also do not take into cognizance what sort of situations they have had to manage. Some people will wish that they had that 48 billion or 75 billion, as the case might be, to draw upon.
He couldn't have finished the money, no matter how he tried, because there was a boom during the period he was governor here. You know, we had excess crude. The state got over 90 billion naira from excess crude accounts. We had improved statutory allocations. Sometimes we were getting 6 billion monthly. And today, you don't get more than 3 billion naira. So he had money. He didn't even leave enough money based on what he got, if we want to take him seriously on that.
But before his second term, you lauded some of the achievements that he achieved at that time, and now...
No, in his second term, he did well. I'm not running him down. He did some work, but the truth must be told. In the first term, he failed. Didn't achieve anything here. I was national chairman.
Your campaign done ensure
that we cried to beg that he should be supported for second term, because there were so many interruptions at the time. He was impeached after 8 months. We had to go through the courts to bring him back. An election was conducted here. Andiuba was put in as governor. We had to go back to the court to remove Andiuba. Andiuba went to court to seek judicial interpretation that he was a governor in waiting. And all kinds of political things were thrown on his way. So that first term in office, comparatively speaking, you shouldn't even be saying anything about Obiano.
I'm just wondering, what then will you say to those? I mean, because roads, I mean, people will say that it's easy to do roads. All you have to do is give the contractor
That is the concept of development. Concept of development of
what about
the
things that, you know, the soft things that really matter? For instance, healthcare, education. What are the strides in education?
That's what I'm coming to tell you. When they talk about roads, those things you can see, there are a lot of services government can render that are not visible. One is security. Security is one area Obiano has scored 100%. Even the president of the country has described him as the best governor in security and urged his colleagues to emulate him. Before he came, this place was a pariah. Kidnappers were all over the place. Under the former governor's watch, 68 prominent people were kidnapped under his watch. And his commissioner for science and technology, serving under his government, was kidnapped and killed. Today we have not seen his corpse. So this governor came and cleaned up the place, instituted working security mechanisms, and this place is safe. This is the safest state in the country today. That's what he has done on security. In education, you have just picked by yourself. Anambra State children, because the way you measure performance is with statistics. When he came into office in 2014, our children that wrote for senior certificate examination, those who got 5 credits in English and mathematics, stood at 60%. In 2015, it grew to 65%. Those who got 5 credits that included English and mathematics, 5%. In 2016, it was 71.8%, say 72%. Then in 2017, this year, it stood at 75%. What this
You didn't hear his opponent, just a moment, you didn't hear his opponent say that, Anambra used to come first in the WAEC exams, but now they've lost that position.
What I'm telling you is fallacy. What you look at is the aggregate performance of people that enroll in an exam.
But
if you have maybe 50 students getting A1s, and you have 1,000 students getting B3 credits, is that the standard of measure of quality education? The governor has improved public schools. I was to give you the reason why this thing went progressively upwards. The governor paid attention to public schools while still supporting